Yo, what is up guys? It is Samool back in with another Epic 7 triple video for you guys today. And today we're going to be talking about the banner of Yufine, who is actually running until the 9th of February. She'll only be around for a week, guys. And let me say that this unit, especially after her buffs, is a monster in PvP, especially if you compare with some units. Now for PvE, she's still pretty decent. You can use her as a Banshee one-shotter, but for the most part, outside of that, you won't really use her anywhere else. But she still makes for a pretty decent Banshee one-shotter, like I said. So mostly going to be a PvP-focused unit, and by PvP, I mean like offense teams and also in World Arena. She'll be very, very powerful there. We're also going to be talking about her artifact and if it's worth buying with Powder of Knowledge. But first off, let's actually talk about Yufine's skills so you guys can actually see why she is so strong. So looking at Yufine's skills here, let's start with her S3. So her S3 is a single target attack. When you actually kill an enemy with this, you'll actually fully reset the cooldown. You're also going to see when the target is silenced, you'll penetrate the target's defense by 70%. Also, when the skill is available and not on cooldown after an ally except for the caster attacks, if the target is silenced, you'll increase CR of Yufine by 20%. So this is a very, very powerful skill. And at first glance, it might not seem like it is because you'll see that Yufine, although she has a chance to silence for herself, she doesn't have a way to take an extra turn. But the thing is, there is a very, very powerful opener in the game right now that's actually the fastest unit in the game that can actually silence for Yufine and actually do a lot of damage as well. And that unit is going to be Zeo. Now, Zeo is an ML 5-star unit, and I think if you pair him with Yufine, this duo becomes extremely, extremely powerful. So the way it works is Zeo will S3, it silences and also attacks the enemy, chunking them very hard. Keep in mind, like I said, Zeo is the fastest unit in the game because of his passive. You're also going to actually not be countered by units like Politis and Celine because the way that Zeo pushes up Yufine is by attacking, and when Yufine gets pushed up with this CR push, you're actually not going to trigger any counterattacks from like Politis' S2 and Celine's S2, even though they counter non-attack skills. This does not count as a non-attack skill for some reason. Just because of that, what Zeo can do is actually push up Yufine, and if they're silenced, which they will be after Zeo's S3, then Yufine can literally one-shot a unit with her S3, pretty much any unit in the game, and then her S3 gets reset. Really, really annoying. Next, we have our S2, guys. It is an AoE attack. This is going to dispel one buff from all enemies with a 75% chance to silence. It goes up to 85% chance if you actually mold this up to +3. And this will go even further to 100% chance if you use it on an exclusive equipment, which we'll talk about. You're also going to give yourself increased attack and defense. So what happens is, Yufine S3s one-shot something. If you don't think you can kill another unit without the penetration, you just S2, give yourself defense buff and attack buff. And keep in mind, you're stripping the immunity buffs that are on the enemy side while also silencing them. So Yufine will most likely be able to survive until her next turn and S3 again. Really, really annoying to deal with. Makes her very strong. Next, we have our S1, guys, single target attack that has a chance to decrease defense. This actually does pretty decent damage as well. Now, looking at her exclusive equipment, guys, you're going to see that this will give her effectiveness. The first one is going to be for your S1. It'll just increase the durations of her buffs by 1 turn, and you can see that this will increase the durations of her S2 that grants attack and defense buff here. Next, we have another S1 exclusive equipment. This will just increase the damage. And then finally, we have one for S2 that I was mentioning. You increase the chance of silence. This is going to be the best one for S2 because of the fact that there will be no RNG basically besides 15% and effect resist. And you'll be able to land that silence and be able to proc your S3 and penetrate defense. So yes, very, very good with Zeo. If you guys don't have Zeo though, honestly, Yufine's value goes down a little bit. You can still use her though as a single target nuker. If you pair her with like Amelia or Flan and you go first, Yufine can still do a lot of damage with her S3, potentially one-shot still because this still does a lot of damage. But for the most part, if you want to one-shot tanks, you're going to need Zeo to actually silence or any unit to silence before her. This unit, guys, extremely, extremely powerful in PvP. Do I recommend pulling for her? I think if you have Zeo and you guys want to get into PvP, definitely pull for Yufine. She's really powerful. Just keep in mind you can pull her from the story summon, so you can always just skip on the banner and pull her later. But very powerful when you pair her with Zeo. And if you are really, really looking into World Arena, she's a very powerful unit there. And yeah, very strong. If you're new to the game and don't really, have a lot of units built for PvP, don't worry, you can always pull for her later. She's not really worth it, in my opinion, if that's the case. I would definitely skip on this banner unless you have, a lot of interest in PvP and you have a Zeo, honestly. So that being said, that's pretty much it for Yufine, guys. Now let's talk about her artifact. So this is going to be Yufine's artifact, guys. Merciless Glutton. Pretty powerful artifact, especially for Yufine, because it'll buff her S3 damage. You can see when you use a single target attack, you'll increase damage dealt. If you actually kill an enemy, you'll also CR push your allies. So if you're running her with, like I said, an opener such as Zia or Amelia or Flan, you buff Yufine up and she one-shot something. Not only will she be getting more increased damage from this artifact, but she'll also push up your team. So if your team is fast enough as well, Yufine will also, be able to CR push up your team as well. This artifact is very, very good on Yufine, but if you guys are hurting on powder and you guys are very low on powder, I definitely will not spend for this because of the fact that you'll eventually get one later on and this might rotate into the shop. And also because there's a lot of great artifact options for Yufine. You can use like a Portrait of the Savior, you can use Draco Plate, a lot of things you can use on her, so you don't have to worry too much if you miss out on this. If you have a lot of powder left over though, and you do decide to pull for Yufine, then this artifact is a very, very good option. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this video though, guys. Like I said, I would definitely skip over Yufine unless you have Zeo and you're very into World Arena. Also keep in mind we probably have very good banners coming soon because we are due for some collab reruns. And for Merciless Glutton, guys, only buy this if you have Yufine. I'm also good on units like Luna as well, but keep in mind warriors have a lot of artifacts you can use for them. And if you already have very good warrior artifacts, you can probably skip on this as well. That being said, I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.